Hey everybody, welcome back to Let's Talk. My name is John, and today here on the channel, we're going to be talking about 1989's Kickboxer and its Lionsgate 4K Blu-ray Steelbook that I have right here. And it's very rare that a 4K Steelbook can make me actually revisit a film that I don't necessarily love. And Kickboxer happens to be one of those films. I had only seen this movie once before this 4K Steelbook came out, but this lenticular lens cover really sold me on the movie, and I just had to revisit, which breaks one of my golden rules. Don't buy a movie based on box art, but sometimes a piece of art comes along and it really sells you on the movie. So I decided to revisit Kickboxer on 4K Blu-ray. But before we get into that 4K Blu-ray review, I always like to give a quick film review, and today's no different. So if you only want to check out that 4K Blu-ray review, you guys can skip ahead right now. So in 1989, David Worth directed Kickboxer, which is really a vehicle for Jean-Claude Van Damme. I would say that Jean-Claude Van Damme and Steven Seagal, they were like the B team of action actors, martial art actors in the 1980s and 1990s. They never reached the levels of like Sylvester Stallone, Bruce Willis, and one of my favorite actors of all time, Arnold Schwarzenegger. But they did have a pretty big cult following, and they had some great films come out that people love. I still think my favorite JCVD film is Sudden Death from, I believe, 1995. Just love the concept of that movie. But, his other martial arts films, which is what he's most known for because he was a kickboxer first. Before he was an actor, he wanted to try acting, but this guy is a world champion in kickboxing. So this is kind of a perfect vehicle for him. Jean-Claude Van Damme plays the corner boy to his brother, who's actually a real kickboxing champion. This guy, Dennis Alexio, which it's really weird how they're brothers. It's like a parent trap type situation, how they try to explain it, because Danny Alexio, speaks perfect American English, whereas Jean-Claude Van Damme, he's got that accent on him that he's very famous for. But these guys are brothers, and, they're talking about how they're American brothers. Meanwhile, one stayed with one parent in Europe while the other one stayed in America. Very similar to The Parent Trap. That's how we write that one off. And Danny Alexio might be a great kickboxer, but he is not a great actor. And I guess this movie just didn't really care necessarily about the acting, because no one's ever going to accuse Jean-Claude Van Damme of being a great actor. But that's not necessarily why you're here. This is also a 1980s flick, and I'm a huge 1980s film fan. You glop on that cheese. I'm there for it. I can forgive a lot of the bad stuff in this movie just because the movie is very entertaining. And this is a cheesy as hell movie. I mean, this is a 3 cheese mac and cheese type of film when you're watching it. You even get some of the Stan Bush songs in here, which I've been absolutely loving. I've been listening to Fight for Your Love for so long, but in the movie when Fight for Your Love is playing, Jean-Claude Van Damme is just kind of walking around Japan, just looking at all the sights, and the camera's just on him, and he's just standing in random spots, just looking at things. For love with all my heart. Almost like that Quentin Tarantino meme where he's just like walking around his house and just standing in blank spots. That's what Jean-Claude Van Damme is doing in this movie, because it's kind of a revenge tale. Like I said, Jean-Claude Van Damme, he's the brother of Danny Alexio's character. Danny Alexio ends up getting paralyzed by the best kickboxer of them all. Of course, he's not taken too seriously, and what does he do? He gets in the ring with Mark Kissy's character, who just looks like such a badass in this movie. I hope I pronounced his name right. And he gets paralyzed. Now, of course, he ends up becoming the best-looking paralyzed person you'll ever see. Doesn't lose any muscle mass, and, being paralyzed doesn't seem to take away from his outlook on life. Again, just not great acting, so we're not really selling the emotional moments of that too well. But this makes Jean-Claude Van Damme decide, you know what? I have to get revenge on this guy. And he seeks that revenge, and he's also going to be trained. And this is kind of like a Kill Bill moment where he gets dropped off at this guy's house who's going to train him to become the greatest kickboxer, even better than his brother. And then, of course, that's going to build up to the third act where he's going to get his revenge. So it also kind of feels a little bit like Rocky IV. And then for some reason, we kind of throw in like this crime story somewhere in the third act, just because it is a 1980s film and we have to somehow throw this in there. A lot like Three Men and a Baby. It's not a 1980s movie unless there's something to do with crime. We couldn't just have a regular, straightforward kickboxing championship movie. That might not intrigue people enough. Even though it works with like the Karate Kid, we need to add a little bit more to this movie. We need to put a bunch of stuff in the pot for this movie to completely work. And like I said, very entertaining movie. It does have those flaws in the acting and then the editing. The editing is very poor in this movie, and it would take me out of the movie at certain parts, especially in the first fight of the movie with Mark Kissy and Jean-Claude Van Damme's brother. Like the way they were editing around this to just try and cover stuff up, it doesn't really necessarily work for me. But, the third act fight, the big fight, that works a lot better. Of course, again, a little bit silly how we're going to be selling this under the old rules. We're going to dip our hands in glass. The ring is going to be surrounded by fire. Looks absolutely badass, and what a crazy scene it is. And I absolutely love it. And then, of course, that's going to give us our big 1980s ending where we're going to pan out. We'll have Never Surrender playing by Stan Bush, and then that's going to send the people home happy. Like, this is a very entertaining 1980s movie. It's not necessarily the best acted movie or the best movie of the 1980s, but this movie does have a pretty big cult following. I really enjoyed it this time around. For all the shit I've ever given Jean-Claude Van Damme, I can at least say, you know what? He puts out some really entertaining movies, and Kickboxer is right up there with it. It's still not as good as Sudden Death, in my opinion, which is a 4K I have to pick up from Kino Lorber, but I really did enjoy this movie. And now let's talk about this Lionsgate 4K Steelbook.
Jean-Claude Van Damme in Kickboxer. It takes one to kill one.
And here it is. Like I said at the top of this review, it's very rare that I can be just sold on box art to pick up a movie on 4K Blu-ray. It really has to be special. And Lionsgate went all out for this one. This lenticular lens cover has 3 portions of it. I don't even know what you call that. Usually it's just 2 where you just kind of mix, but this one actually has 3. The Kickboxer logo is kind of moving along, being broken as you move it. I don't know if the camera's picking this up. I'll have to find out when I edit it, but this is so awesome. One of my favorite 4K Steelbooks ever is the Running Man. You guys have heard me talk about it a million times, how they put a beautiful regular slipcover over the Steelbook. Lionsgate puts slipcovers over their Steelbooks all the time. They have these beautiful collector's editions, but, they don't really have the J card on the back with all the info and stats, which always bothers me about a Steelbook. I know my cousin Matt, cuts them up and then puts them on the inside so he has all the stats, just because, I guess he doesn't like to go to Blu-ray.com or anything, but I really appreciate it when they do something like this. And, slipcover is great, but then when you come inside, look at this Steelbook in general. This is absolutely just a gorgeous Steelbook that they didn't cheap out on. And then you come inside, this is a 3-disc set, and it also came with a digital code. So, it was $35, but when you compare that to other stuff that's $35, a lot of time you only get 1 disc. This time you get 3 discs. You get the 35th anniversary on 4K Blu-ray, the theatrical cut. You get it on Blu-ray. That is also the theatrical cut. Then you get the international cut on Blu-ray. Now, the international cut's a little bit longer, but the Blu-ray itself, this looks like it was ripped right from a DVD. It looks absolutely horrible, the international cut. For people who are fans of it, that's really cool that you get it on here. But if you're comparing that to the Blu-ray and the 4K Blu-ray, it's really night and day. Now, I don't have the previous release of Kickboxer on Blu-ray, and I've heard that was a really poor Blu-ray, so that I'm going to have to assume that this is just a huge jump to the new Blu-ray and to this new 4K Blu-ray, but I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. This movie also has a bunch of extras on it, which you can find on not only the Blu-ray like it usually is, but you could also find those extras on the 4K Blu-ray, so you don't necessarily have to, change discs. And you get 2 audio commentary tracks, and you get 4 interviews, including one with Jean-Claude Van Damme, Mark Kissy, who I'm pretty sure I've been pronouncing his last name wrong throughout the review here. I hope I'm not, but either way, or some great interviews. Jean-Claude Van Damme, he's quite a storyteller. I'm sure he's over-exaggerating. I've seen other interviews with him. He usually seems like he's over-exaggerating, but he sure does know how to tell a story, so this interview is fantastic. For the commentary track fans out there, you'll be very happy. And then you get the trailer and some TV spots. I would have really liked to make a documentary. That would have been really cool, but still, I can't complain. You get some extras on here, so I'm still very happy that there are some extras. I just wanted a little bit more, and that's just the extras junkie in me. Either way, they did give us 2 audio commentary tracks and 4 interviews, so I can't complain too much. And now the audio did surprise me. It's a Dolby True HD 5.1. And it was actually a really good Dolby True HD 5.1. Paramount loves to use these. They just reusing previous audio tracks that were Dolby True HD 5.1s. Now, I'm not too sure if this is a new track or it's just being ported over, but surprisingly, what a great audio track for a movie like this, which has a good killer 80s score. Now, given some of the dialogue tracks in this movie just aren't the greatest, but I assume that's just because of ADR, so you're not going to really necessarily be able to fix all of that, but still, the audio track does come in crisp and clear. There are no pops or anything like that. I did have to turn the volume down a little bit, but that's just something that's kind of common with Dolby True HDs, is that it's just, sometimes the dialogue is not mixed as well as other sound effects in there, and you'll find yourself in dialogue heavy moments, having to turn up the volume. I don't necessarily love that, but This Dolby True HD 5.1 did surprise me and had a little bit of a punch to it, so it's not as bad as other Dolby True HDs that I've heard. I heard quite a few bad ones this previous year, so this was actually a pleasant surprise. I was like, oh no, and it really wasn't that bad, so I was pretty happy with that. Now, as far as the visuals go, you get Dolby Vision and HDR10, and it just looked absolutely beautiful, this movie. You know, Japan never looked so good, in my opinion, but I'm just kidding here. But still, it looked fantastic. I mean, the colors themselves, they were so vibrant, so dense. I really didn't expect this to look as good as it did. Again, you know, this is a movie that has a cult following, but you would have been forgiven if this wasn't like one of the better looking 4K Blu-rays. And given, it's not one of the best looking 4K Blu-rays I've ever seen, but from what people said about that previously released Blu-ray, and then if you look at the international cut, yeah, it's a huge jump in quality, in my opinion. Looks like a modern-day film now. This is a movie that now kind of looks like it could have been shot yesterday while still maintaining that 80s tone. That's a huge deal for me. Let's make sure this movie still looks like it was released in 1989, and they definitely did capture that. The Dolby Vision is slightly better than the HDR10. I have to definitely point that out, but still, either way, or what a great visual treat this 4K Blu-ray was. And I mean, overall, what a fantastic 4K Blu-ray coming in right at the end of 2024. This didn't make my top 10 list of 2024, but it probably really should have, just in the sense that this 4K Steelbook is one of my favorites that I've gotten in a very long time. It's everything you could ever ask for. I understand why Lionsgate would sell their movies directly through Lionsgate Limited, but at a more of a premium price, because they do put out some really high quality packaging here that I cannot sell short. And how would I rate this 4K Blu-ray on a score of 1 to 10? I would give the Kickboxer 4K Blu-ray a very solid 9 out of 10. I definitely think this one is worth your time and money. And if you're a fan of Kickboxer, I'm sure you were eating good this Christmas because, my God, what a great 4K Blu-ray release. But anyway, guys, it's also Tuesday. That means it's time for our digital code giveaway. So I'm going to go kick it over to my future self right now. Hey guys, just popping in at the end of this video for this week's digital code giveaway. In every single video that we do on Friday, I ask you guys 2 digital code giveaway questions. All you had to do is answer one of those in the comment section. As long as you did that, you came back to this video right here where I put your name on a magic wheel, spun that bad boy 2 times, the 2 names it lands on, they have their choice, the digital codes that you've seen on your screen before you today. So let's just dive right into it. Alright, congratulations, Star Searcher and Sci-Fi Guy 2094. Sci-Fi Guy is the first time you've entered, and it's also the first time you've won. Star Searcher, you won in the past. So this is how it works. Reach out to me on my email address, letstalkentmt@gmail.com, or you can always reach out to me on the artist formerly known as Twitter, which is now X, or you can reach out to me on Facebook and Instagram, direct message me, and let me know which of the digital codes you want. As long as the other winner didn't take it, that digital code is all yours. And guys, next week, if you are a channel member under the friends of the channel, the producers, or the directors tier, we will also be doing our channel members 4K Blu-ray giveaway. So in 1 week's time, we'll do that magic wheel as well, along with our regular old-fashioned digital code giveaway. And guys, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn notifications on, share this video if you could. We also have those channel memberships, so if you do want to become a friend of the channel, like producer like John Doe Juggalo and Jet Eckert, or even a channel director like Frank from Frank's Media and Reviews and Mr. Smelly Potato, you can look for all that information in the description below. But if you got no money to throw away, guys, don't worry about it. We just hope you enjoyed the video. And if you did, get out in those streets, tell your friends about us, and then we'll be seeing you